Hello, I'm CC Richards.
And I'm Dr. Solina Richards.
Welcome to the Conversation Corner. We're excited that you're all joining in with us tonight. We have some great continuation we were talking about last week about seasons of change. And we're going to be sharing and expounding on it just a little bit more. And so I just wanted to welcome you once again. We're excited that you joined with us. And Dr. Solina, if you want to just share a little bit about, just pick up from where we left off on a season of change. We're talking about mindsets and things like that, that will really benefit and help those who are viewing.
Well, we're excited that you're joining us again tonight. We look forward to, as we've said from the very beginning, being a blessing, being an encouragement, being a source of just positivity in your life. You know, we got a lot going on in the world. It's all kinds of stuff going on. And so we just want to be here to encourage those of you who just say, I just need a little to get through this week, to get through this day. And so we want to welcome you all back here to the Conversation Corner. We're going to talk a little bit more about the seasons of change. And of course, I warned you in the beginning, we talk a lot about our kids because they are so much a part of our life. So you hear some stories about them as we get through tonight. But we're going to jump back into talking about seasons of change and how to navigate them, how to get through them, the right perspective in terms of how to look at what change, when change happens, to make yourself better prepared for it. And so we're going to jump right in with that.
Well, you know, Dr. Sling, you said something very interesting. You were talking about our kids. You know, we got old kids now. We just celebrated 37 years of marriage. You know, our kids are old people. A 35-year-old, soon to be 36-year-old, and a 40-year-old, and both are married. So our family has expanded, right? They're married. We have 8 grandchildren now, right? We're talking about seasons of change. Okay, we can't parent our children as if they were younger anymore. We're parents to older kids, so that's change for us.
And it's compounding change. Those of you that work in finance or in banking, you understand the term compounding. Change in our life was compounding, meaning that when our children came of age, that's a big change. When they move out of your house and stuff that used to be a certain way no longer is. Junk that used to be junky now ain't junky because they ain't there making a mess. Quiet that is now, that was once noisy because they were there, they're not there anymore. And so these are changes that take place in your life. So for us, the change was compounding because we're dealing with adult children. Then they went out and found spouses. Guess what? More change, compounding change. Then those people that they went out and found and brought back home came with kids, had kids, grandkids, more change, some compounding change. And so that's what we mean when we talk about compounding change. Life can do that for you. For example, if you're in a season right now, you know, things are going on in the economy and people trying to figure out how to make things work, and some people are looking for jobs, some people are quitting jobs. Change is happening all around us. And so we hope to just share a few things tonight. We're going to cover 3 major tips of how to look at change. My husband says all the time, if you change the way you see a thing, the way you see the thing will change. And so for me, that means a lot of different things in a lot of different contexts. For example, if you are going through a relationship change and you're trying to figure life out and trying to navigate through that, you've got to realize that there's some changes you probably need to make in your life because of it. Whether this was a bad relationship, or maybe it's just one that just ended. Maybe, you know, just a season of change. A person moved away, or maybe they died and they're no longer in your life. The change still happens. And so you have to learn to navigate that change. And we use the word navigate a lot because life is like driving. You know, it's like driving a car. You got to watch out for the potholes, and you got to watch out for the debris in the road, and you got to watch out for the driver that's not paying attention, or the driver that's texting and driving. So life to us has been like a navigation. And so we go jump on in and talk about those things that you often think about in terms of that change.
Well, you know, I was thinking about what you just said. Is there a thin line between mental wellness and mental illness? Is there a thin line? between mental wellness and mental illness, because we hear a lot of the stories that's going on right now, all over the news, what's happening in the world, right? And you hear a lot of people talking about mental illness, depression, suicide, things like that, right? And the importance of mental wellness, how you feed your mind, feed your thoughts. You've heard me say before, you got to give your mind two things every day. You got to give your mind a target, and you have to give your mind an instruction every day, or your mind will automatically play the reruns of your past.
Absolutely. When you talk about the mental wellness and the mental illness, a lot of things that I've seen of impacting people, some of it is because they didn't navigate or having trouble navigating a particular season of change in their life. For example, there's some true organic mental illnesses that people deal with, but sometimes the challenge is because they're not embracing or preparing for the change. Mm-hmm. And so when that happens to them, life hits them almost broadside because now they're trying to figure out that particular change. For example, I had a job, went to work every day, and then one day they laid 8 of us off and I didn't have that job anymore. Well, that came at a very chaotic season in our life where I needed that job, but now the job is gone. And I remember when I called my husband and say, honey, come pick me up because they just laid 8 of us off. He looked at me and smiled. And I thought, has he completely gone crazy? Because I knew that we needed that job. Well, to him, that was a signaling of a season of change. He was mentally already somewhere down the road in a change that I wasn't even thinking about. And I say not even thinking about because all I knew to do was to go to work and work my job, collect my check and pay the light bill. That's what we do. And so when this happened, he just smiled. And I was like, what are you smiling about? Did you hear what I just said? He said, yeah. But let me tell you why that was so significant. That was the beginning of a season of change in my life and for my life. And what I mean by that is we launched into business 6 months after that happened. And we never looked back. If I didn't do or follow the advice that my husband always gives is how you see the thing will change how you see the thing, I would have been a mess. Because I wouldn't have known, well, what are we going to do or how are we going to survive or what are we going to do next? But from that day to this, which is what, 17 years?
17 years. 17
years later, I've not had a job. I've not had a 9-to-5 job for 17 years because that happened. It launched us into a new season of life for us. We became entrepreneurs. We've written books. We've done ministry. We've traveled. But because I embraced that change, didn't say it was easy. Didn't say I wasn't scared. But I embraced it nonetheless. And because of that, I've become a whole next level me than I was the one that showed up and went to work every day. So talk a little bit about, though we're going to talk about 3 points tonight. So I want you to go ahead and jump into that first one.
Yeah. So when we talk about seasons of change, and again, we understand and put things in perspective. You could be doing well with your parenting, but your finances is all messed up. You're going through some changes like what Dr. Solina was saying, what we went through. Or you could be going through a divorce, or you could be getting married. All of these represents a seasons of change. So one of the things we wanted to share, some nuggets we wanted to share of what you can do to properly navigate wherever you are, or if you feel stuck. How do I navigate, right, or get my car out of the mud if my tires are spinning? What are some of the practical things that we can do? First of all, this is just some tips I want to share. We're going to expound on it a little bit. First of all, do not be ignorant of the change. Okay? Do not be ignorant of the change. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6 and about says, my people perish from what?
A lack,
Lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge. So don't be ignorant of the change. Can you think of an example how somebody can be ignorant of the change or in relation to
Here's a great one. And you all that are watching and hearing us share over time will hear several points. One, we talk about our children all the time. Two, we talk about our grandchildren all the time. Three, we talk about being married for over 30 years. So an example of not being ignorant of change, I'll use marriage as a reference. When we met 37 plus years ago, we developed the habit of talking all the time. We talked about everything. We would sit in the bathroom and close the door and everybody thought we were crazy. But we talked about everything all the time. There was nothing we didn't talk about. We would lay on the couch in the middle of the night and just start talking about stuff. So for point number one is not to be ignorant of the change. The reason I tell you about how much we talk, because there came a season where we stopped talking and we hit the hard place in our marriage where we didn't even want to talk to each other.
Remember, we said we're going to be transparent with you all.
Absolutely. So what we had to figure out is what was once this warm and thriving and healthy relationship now felt like it was being ripped at the seams because we were ignorant of a change that was taking place in our lives. And that change for us is we weren't talking like we used to. We were listening to other people and we were talking to other people and other people had our ear, but we weren't talking to each other like we used to. And it was doing damage to our relationship.
Yeah.
So the first point that we want to share tonight is don't be ignorant. Stop and assess what's going on and how did you get there? Because you don't just wake up and find yourself in a place. Right. You got there by actions or lack of action. You got there because some things were slightly and subtly changing and you didn't catch it. So we want to encourage you. Don't be ignorant of change. Stop and note. We're not talking like we used to. Or we used to go out together. We're not doing that. Or I remember when we used to, whatever that thing is that you used to do, that's not happening anymore. Because it's impacting your life. And I just use marriage as an example because, as I said, when you've been married for over 35 years, it's a lot of living happening in 35 years. So number one is don't be ignorant of the change. Stop and assess what's going on in your life and review very strategically how you used to do and what you're doing now. Because that'll make a difference in how you fix the problem.
That's good. That's number one. And ladies and gentlemen, number two, for those of you that are writing this down, number two is do not be unprepared for change. Like, for example, we just left summer. We're getting ready to go. We're in fall now. We're transitioning. The mornings are cold now. The afternoons are nice, warm, but the mornings are cold. We're transitioning. Do not be unprepared for change. You know winter is coming. You see it come. You see it over the horizon. A lot of times we can see stuff coming and pretend, Dr. Solina, that it's not coming.
That it's not going to happen. Like you don't really see what you see.
Right. Right now, on the news, they said a hurricane is coming up the Gulf, coming up toward Florida. They're tracking it. They're saying it's coming and it's going to hit. Right? Do we pretend, it's not going to happen to me?
Well, one thing about being prepared for change has a lot to do with your mental state. It has a lot to do with how well you will fare as that change occurs. For example, if you make a certain amount of money and you literally just spend, you just spend like money is coming out of a water faucet, and you're not saving or you're not concerning yourself with where that money's going. When something happens to that income, you can't work or the job closes or whatever, you may find yourself in a very hard place because you didn't prepare for down the road. Put a few pennies away and wear the clothes you had last week. You don't need a new dress this week, just wear the one you had last week. Those things to allow you to be ready when change comes. You got kids. At some point, somebody's going to college, whether they all go, maybe one of 5 go, but you put a little bit aside because one day they're coming. Or that you're getting old and you want to prepare, should be anyway, prepare yourself for that transition. For example, you might live in a 2-story house and you're getting old. Doesn't mean you're falling apart yet, but you say, well, you know what? We plan to live in a house for a long time, but do we really need an upstairs? And so you could prepare for the change of aging and get a 1-level house, because then when you get really old, you're already in a 1-level house.
I've heard this relevant saying that said, prepare your roof when the sun is out.
Absolutely. When you see that there's some issues, don't wait till it catastrophically lands in your lap. Go ahead and start preparing for it. Say, I'm gonna set aside a few dollars, or I'm gonna, we know we need some new tires. Don't wait till the tire blows out and then your car flies all across the road. Go ahead and get some new tires, or put away some money for the new tires. Prepare for the change that is obviously coming. Because if you do tip number 1, you're not going to be ignorant that some changes are coming. And so tip number 2 is get prepared. Make yourself ready mentally and physically to know that these things are coming so that you can be better able to embrace those changes as they come.
And number 3, ladies and gentlemen, do not boast in your season. Let's say you're having a great season. You're having a great summer. We got a summer, winter, spring, and a fall. Let's say you're having a great summer. Things are going well for you, right? Things are going well for you, right? Don't boast in your season, because you and I both know, hold on, winter is coming again.
And there's a difference between boasting and being thankful to the Lord, obviously, because the Lord has blessed you and you've given God thanksgiving for his blessings. But for me to hear don't boast in your season, meaning don't take for granted that you had to get there. Don't take for granted that you found yourself in that good season, because God obviously has blessed you or is bringing blessings into your life. So you want to always remember, and I'll just reference this because it's tagging a lot of things we talked about together. Deuteronomy says it's God, it's the Lord thy God that gives you the ability to get wealth. So whether you're talking about wealth in your mind, wealth in your finances, wealth in your relationship, God is gracing you and giving you the ability. Because see, we've been married so long, we kind of think the other's thoughts and kind of know how they're going to react to things. But that's over time. So for me, not boasting, meaning just don't act like it was just you. Yes, you have to put in the work. Yes, you have to get out and do your part. But just always remember that God is blessing you. God has brought you the increase. God has allowed these good things to happen to you. So always remember that the Thanksgiving and celebration should always go to God, not yourself. Because some people have tried for years to do the same thing that you're trying to do, and it didn't work out for them. So if there shall be any boasting, let it be in and unto the Lord.
I want to share something. I want to take it back for a second. I want to share something out of Dr. Solina's book, Bound in My Freedom. Powerful book. It's for men and women. You said something that really struck me in chapter 4. You said, and again, this is for those who are viewing that may be in this place. And again, we're talking about navigating the seasons of change, and we gave some tips. But just this little excerpt here says, she's an adult now. It's time to make adult decisions. It is time for decisions about jobs and careers, a permanent relationship, and even children. Although she is physically grown, emotionally, she is still that little girl, the one looking for the father to love and protect her. So the journey of a broken child functioning like a grown woman begins. We'll share some of her stories with you now. And you get to that place. And when I read that, I can feel it, I can experience it. Because
it just grabbed you.
It just grabbed hold of me because people are there. You can put on makeup, put on all the exterior fixings, but there's something happening on the inside. I want you to just share a little bit for those who are viewing that may be experiencing or at this place where you begin to describe.
Well, first of all, as I begin to write, writing a book was never something I thought about doing. That just never something I thought I needed to do or could do. And so as I was prompted and urged to write the book, to the passage that he just read, it has so much to do with embracing a season of change. And that season of change for me was recognizing that I was that broken little girl, and that the decisions I made up until those points in life were the broken little girl in the grown woman's body. I was fully grown physically, but emotionally I was a little girl, needing to be protected and needing to be,
Is this the case, Dr. Solina, for a lot of women out there that may be viewing, or people that people, and women? Is it a lot of women that could be experiencing that?
He
right
says
now?
a lot of women, but y'all know it's a lot of men out there.
Oh, absolutely,
too.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of broken little boys in grown men bodies, and they make all these crazy decisions. And imagine, if you will, the broken little boys in the grown men bodies meeting the broken little girls in the grown women bodies, and these two come together. You talk about disaster on a freight train with no brakes.
That's a mess needing a messiah.
And so as you think about the seasons of change, even from your traumas and the things you've been through, I repeated over and over and over again, you've got to stop. You've got to literally physically stop and sit down and have a conversation with yourself and admit to yourself, that's where you are. That's what's happened to me. That's what's going on. That's why you keep picking the wrong guy, and that's why you keep picking the wrong girl, and you keep ending up in this horrible place that you just don't want to be in. Because you have to, one, not be ignorant of change. When that change happens in your life, you've got to be able to say, I don't want this anymore. I want to change me first. Because if you don't change you first, everything around you will stay the same.
That's right.
So you've got to begin the change. The first level of change is by changing yourself. Having that honest conversation with yourself. If that means you sit on the floor and bawl and cry and laugh and do whatever it takes, have the conversation with yourself first. Why am I here like this right now? Because when you do that, then you can, and literally I would suggest you get a piece of paper, start jotting down why you feel what you feel, what it is that you feel, and why you feel that way. Because that's how you will identify those places of your life that need change, so that you can begin to implement the positive change, so that you can go to the next place and the next phase of your life.
Can they reach us on social media?
Absolutely. We there's the Facebook group called The Conversation Corner with CC and Dr. Solina, and we invite you all to jump on over there. And we want to say welcome to those of you that have already joined the group. We hope that we share some nuggets somewhere that'll encourage you in your life as we begin to discover and go over some pretty spicy topics at time. I'm sure it's going to get pretty spicy because both of us can get real spicy. And so we just want to welcome you all again. Jump on over to the Facebook group, The Conversation Corner with CC and Dr. Solina Richards, because we want to hear from you through your comments, through your questions. If there's anything that you think we may have been through that might help you, let us know, because we'd be glad to share with you how we got through it.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with her 100%. God has brought us through a lot. I was raised from the dead, May 7, 05, a flatline. God brought us through that. I'm a documented miracle. We wrote our newest book. It's called 6 Days of Silence. We share what God did on our journey through that as well. You know, again, you all can reach out to us on the Facebook page of The Conversation Corner, and you want a book or whatever it is, correspond with us on that platform, and we will definitely respond back to you as well. You know, we're excited because we know that we're going to use this opportunity to reach out to some people to see God do some great and mighty things in the lives of some people. And we're going to build the kingdom together, you know. So with that being said, I wanted to take a moment and share and let you know that Better is available. And make sure you tune in each Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be right here, excited, right here at the Conversation Corner. And Dr. Solina, you want to share a quick verse before we go?
Quickly. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. And so embrace your season of change. Know that God is with you. And as the old mothers of Zion used to say, hold on to God's unchanging hand. Because his hand doesn't change, even though everything around us just might.
Yeah. And so remember, we love you. You're greatly loved, greatly valued, and greatly appreciated. Because here's one thing that we really understand and we really know. Everybody, Dr. Solina, want to feel valued. And we're going to go over this later, but value stands for validation, affirmation, love, unity, and empowerment.
And you got to say that again. You know they need to hear that again.
Yeah. Value, validation, affirmation, love, unity, and empowerment. Everyone want to feel valued. Things go awry when people are feeling devalued and unappreciated. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us right here at the Conversation Corner, Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. And whatever you do, remember, once again, Better is available.
We'll see you next week
Here in the Conversation Corner.